Okay. All right, cool. All right, who has heard of Crescendo? Has anyone used it? A little bit? Okay, cool. Well, I'll just show you kind of like what I did with it. I mostly just wanted to play around with it. It's not like a production thing, but it's just kind of like a community project that I put together. So if you don't know what Crescendo is, it is a PowerShell commandlet built by the PowerShell team. And the idea being that it makes it easier to wrap command line tools in PowerShell script and provide like a PowerShell experience around PowerShell tools. And the way it works is they have a bunch of commandlets that generate JSON, and then that JSON is consumed by the PowerShell Crescendo module, and it produces a module. So what I did is I actually took some sysinternal tools and built a Crescendo module around those. So in my like build PS1 file here, what I'm doing is I'm actually using the Crescendo commandlets. So the Crescendo commandlets don't actually expose parameters for every single thing that you can actually set inside a Crescendo commandlet. So what I did is I'm calling the Crescendo command to generate the JSON, setting up some parameters. They have like this new parameter info commandlet, new output handler commandlet. And then you can see I'm setting like some additional properties on the objects that are returned from those commandlets. And inside my repository here, you can see I just have these hash tables. And effectively what those are doing are describing the individual sysinternal tools. So this one is clockres.exe. And pretty much what you do is you have the original name, which is the original command line tool that you're calling. Original command elements are like kind of like default elements that we should pass to this particular original command. So in this case, I want to get rid of the banner and accept the EULA. And then you have a verb and noun that you can specify. So I'm saying show clock resolution. When you define parameters, there's like a couple other things that you need to specify. Oh, that's output handlers. Let's see, handle. So you can see here I have kind of a nested set of hash tables in this array for each one of the parameters. And again, similar to how you have like original name and original command elements, you can have things like original name and original position for the parameters, and that just lays it out for how this command line tool would you expect to receive these parameters. So again, I'm creating two new PowerShell commandlet parameters for arguments that go into handle.exe. So -p is for looking up like handles owned by a process inside Windows. And then kind of the last like tidbit of functionality that is provided by Crescendo is the ability to specify output handlers. So the idea being here is that some command line tools play nice with output. For example, logonsessions.exe has a -c parameter, and what that does is it actually outputs as CSV. So then I can define an output handler that actually runs some PowerShell script, and it converts the output from logonsessions.exe into JSON, or I mean into PowerShell objects using convert from CSV. So just as an example, I'll show you. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I gotta actually elevate this. All right. Now, let's make that bigger. Get logon session. So I have this module installed. It's up in the PowerShell gallery. And, oh, wait, it's broken though. I actually had to fix it. Demos. Before we do that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to run through the build, because I think I deleted the build files, and I'll show you what that looks like before we actually do that. So I'm just going to run my build script. It's going to take all those PS1 files, get all those hash tables, generate some JSON using the Crescendo commandlets, and then use, finally, I didn't show this before, but there is an export Crescendo module commandlet. So that takes the JSON, outputs the module. So if I run that, ran through, built the module. I actually have a single pester test in here. And this is what the Crescendo commandlets more or less generate, this JSON file. So it has this like schema thing at the top, and then each one of the commands, it's actually like really similar to the hash table I was producing. And you can see that there's a bunch of other properties that I didn't set that you could set. So you have like confirm impact and like should process, and it actually takes care of like hooking all that up inside your Crescendo module. And then what it actually generates is a whole bunch of PowerShell script. So this is actually generated from export Crescendo module from that JSON. And if you know, depending on how you do the output handlers and how you do parameter sets, it'll like automatically generate all this really lovely, easy to read code. And it also makes a PSD1 file. So now what I'm going to do, so if I have my elevated prompt, I'm going to import that module, and I'll call get logon session. And now you can see it like output as objects because it went through that output handler that, because logon sessions return it as a CSV, because if I just did logon session C, you can see, I don't know why that didn't work, but, oh, it is a CSV. Yeah, so it returns it as a CSV there, and then effectively I piped that through some PowerShell script inside my Crescendo module. So just to show you how cool this is, I'm going to generate a new cmdlet, and then we'll publish it to the gallery. So I actually have typed all this out, and we'll just kind of go through this. So I'm going to be using the ntfs info.exe tool. So let's see what that looks like. NTFS info. It allows you to pretty much specify a drive letter, and it'll provide some information about that drive. So if I were to do my C drive, you can see it's got a whole bunch of information about it, almost out of space. And to generate a new cmdlet then, I just had to kind of set up some ntfs info.ps1 and slap this hash table in here. I'm going to call it get ntfs info. This one I added some help to, so it has a description. I just copy and pasted that from the sysinternals page. Some original command elements, so I want to get rid of the EULA and the banner. I'm going to have one parameter for specifying the drive letter. Again, I added a description, and then I want to make it mandatory. So let's do another build on that. Oh no, what did I do? Because it is an empty string. Oh, I got to save the file. Thank you. Oh no, now what did I do? Oh no, I copy and pasted it twice. Well, I'm a little, do you see that? This has happened to me a lot recently. You save this, and when you run the PowerShell formatter, duplicates it. And the only way I can get around that is to like open it in Notepad or something, you know? I gotta turn off the formatting, really, is the problem. And if I like restart Visual Studio Code, it'll go away, but yeah, it's pretty annoying. Source, sysinternals, source. And I'll just pop into TFS info. Oh no! All right, I'll just go like this. All right, so now it loads it. It still has a syntax error, but we'll see. Oh, okay, that worked. Okay, now we have our new Crescendo module, and should be able to force, and I should be able to do get ntfs info. I can look at the help on that. You can see it has like it doesn't actually have the help. Sad, even though I included it in my thing, but let's see if it works. Drive letter C. Same thing, so now we have a cmdlet that does that. So obviously I could get all crazy with regex and like output that as like an object and that kind of thing, and that's where you'd have those output handlers. I think there's a default JSON output handler, so you can just specify rather than doing what I'm doing with logon sessions, where I'm actually doing it in an inline handler. I think there's a JSON handler, so it kind of has some built-in ones. All right, so I will now bump the version on this. We'll push it up to GitHub, ntfs info, and sync those changes. This is where you can find the sysinternals module. So if you want like an example of how I did this, it's all up on GitHub or Adam Driscoll /sysinternals. And now that was published, and I have actions set up to actually build the Crescendo module, as well as, this is really weird when it's this big, also to publish the module. So this will actually publish it out to the gallery now. So the command I just created here will be available in the gallery in the next like 5 minutes, as long as the gallery is up. All right, but that's it, Crescendo.